everybody on the Wikibook. This is Matt Dorman, better known as Four Tildes. And we're doing an interview today with Matt Harris. The reason we chose Matt Harris is because he's gone to 2 different high schools in Virginia, and he's also gone to 2 colleges in Virginia. So without moving or changing locations, he's been able to experience a similar school system, yet still different, in the same state and the same learning boards and environment. So we thought Matt Harris would be a good person to interview. So let's meet our guest. Hello, Matt Harris.
Hello, Matt Dorman.
How are you today?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I'm pretty good. We're doing a project for school.
Okay, I'm glad I could help.
Me too. Thank you. Alright, well, we'll start by asking, where did you go to high school?
Well, I originally attended a high school called Norfolk Christian, a private school here in Norfolk. And then, after things didn't go so well there, I transferred to Granby to finish off and graduate from there.
And did you see any big differences between the private school Norfolk Christian and the public school Granby High School?
Do you mean environment or do you mean education-wise?
Well, they're both important, but I think we should focus on how you felt the school was effective in teaching the students. Did you feel like the teachers really cared at one school, or maybe they had better teaching abilities than at another school?
Well, the private school, of course, would be more centered towards advanced learning, while the public school was pretty straightforward. My teachers were very diverse at both schools, but I would have to say that the private school seemed to have their act together better than the public school.
Okay. And was there anything that you really liked about a specific teacher from the private school, or maybe a teacher that really connected with you in the public school?
The private school, they were more like family, while the public school was so chaotic and there were so many students that it was really hard to keep a connection with the teachers, aside from student-teacher.
Alright. And what about college? You went to TCC first, right?
Yes, sir.
And then after was it 1 year at TCC?
Yes.
After 1 year at TCC, you switched over to ECPI.
Yes, a technology school.
So, how was your experience at TCC?
I'd have to say it was pretty bad. There was no one there to really help you get by. You had to do everything by yourself. Being new to college, that was not something that I did very well. I procrastinated. I couldn't get my classes because I didn't know what I wanted to do or major in. And then I went to ECPI, which semi-narrowed it down, and there are people there to help me.
So you feel like people from TCC were more doing their job but not involved with the students.
Exactly.
And ECPI was more direct in how they wanted to guide their students.
Yes, they did their job and they're assisting me.
So we see how the public school and the private school focus, or how they compare to one another in your opinion. And we also see how ECPI and TCC differ in your opinion. What do you think about the teaching styles, the in-classroom environment? Did you feel like you were learning more effectively in the private school than you were in the public school? Or did you feel like you were learning more effectively at ECPI now than you were in your classes at TCC?
I'd have to say for high school that I did better at the private school, but then again I did go to high school to finish it off. So, and as for ECPI and TCC, I'd have to say that ECPI definitely has their act together. They want you to succeed and they'll do anything to help you with that.
So you feel like ECPI is a better fit because they're more involved with the students and not with running an organization?
Yes, ECPI definitely knows what they're doing and do it well.
And how about any specific assignments? Can you think of maybe a paper for TCC that you wrote and compare it to a paper you've written for ECPI?
They seem about the same. Our ECPI is more professional oriented because I will be going straight into a career afterwards, while TCC is just more school strict.
Well, that is one advantage and disadvantage of a community college. It can give you a general education, but it's also true that that's not what everybody needs.
Exactly. I got a more specific education at ECPI than I had at TCC, and I know where I want to go and how to attain that goal.
All right. Well, I'm also very happy that Matt Harris is going to ECPI because this means that we have a technology major in our presence. And with technology being such a big deal in the education field and being incorporated into education today, we might be able to get a few good questions answered by Matt on how he feels that education and technology interact. Do you feel like incorporating computers and internet classes and laptops in the classrooms, do you feel like that is helpful or a hindrance to the learning environment?
I think that computers in the classroom with a teacher present is a very good idea. As for what we call hybrid days, when we get to stay home and just do work on the computer, I would say that isn't quite as effective right now. The one-on-one time with a teacher really makes a difference when trying to learn something.
So you see that technology can be an effective learning tool, but that it cannot replace the presence of a teacher.
Exactly. A teacher is mandatory for a student to learn. If we didn't need teachers, then all of us could just learn from the internet alone, which I don't feel is possible.
Well, that's a very good point to make. And one of the other things that we have been learning in our Foundations and Assessment of Education class is that there's a lot of learning that we can do from the other students in our class, and that we don't only learn from the teacher. Do you feel like education helps you to learn from the students, or maybe involves more group work, or you can see what other students are working on?
Yes, I believe that along with the teacher, students can help each other learn. The computer and internet are a great tool, but they shouldn't be the only tool when it comes to learning.
Well, that's one of the things that is definitely being considered today, is how much technology can be a distraction or how helpful it can be as a tool. And I think that what we're learning right now is that, at least in Matt's opinion, and I must admit I hold the same opinion, that technology can be an extremely effective tool, but not an adequate replacement for a teacher, or in some cases for a textbook. Well, I think we've covered everything as far as high school, public and private schools, and we've also talked about a more direct college versus a general community college, and we've even addressed the idea of technology in the classroom. So unless there's anything you'd like to add or you feel is really important for the other people on the Wikibook, then I think we have many of our questions answered. So is there anything you would like to add about your college experience, or any advice you might like to give to the people watching this video?
Just stick with it and you'll be fine.
Alright, well, thank you for coming on our Wikibook video show today. And I guess that's a wrap. Thank you.